Cartella police.
For Ganga, you know. We've got to keep the high decibels down.
You can't even express to you how horrible it is and why it's work with me. You don't have earplugs, you can't be just one.
Jayo Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to the assembled devotees. All glory is to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 O my Lord, Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, of all-pervading personality of Godhead, now from my respectful obeisances unto you. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by Srila Prabhupada, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order. Chapter 29, talks between Narada and King Prachini Barhi. Today's text number 60. Narada Uvacha. Yenaiva Rabate Karma. Tenaiva Mutrata Puma. Bhukte Hyavyam Varhanena. Lingena Manasasvayam. Narada Uvacha. Yenaiva Rabate Karma. Tenaiva Mutprata Puman Te Yavadhanena Lingena Manasa Svayam Narada Uvacha Yenaiva Rabate Karma Tenaiva Mutprata Puman Mukte Yavadhanena Lingena Manasa Svayam.
Naruvacha Ninaiva Rabate Karma Ninaiva Muttatma Teya Yavadhanena Yena Manasa Svayam
Naruvacha
Ninaiva Karma Ninaiva Muttatma
Revenge of the machines. All right, anyone else? Okay. Narada Uvacha. Narada said, Yena, by which, Eva, certainly, Arabhate, begins, karma, fruitive activities, Tena, by that body, Eva, certainly, Amutra, in the next life, Tat, that, Puman, the living entity, Bhungte, enjoys, he, because of Vyavadhanena, without any change, Lingena, by the subtle body, Manasa, by the mind, Svayam, personally. Translation: the great sage Narada continued, the living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is forced to act by the subtle body, composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. After the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change. Please repeat. The great sage Narada continued. The living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is forced to act by the subtle body. Composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. After the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change. You might wonder what that means, that last line, but we'll get into it in the purport, and also, yeah. discussing. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The living entity has two kinds of body. The subtle body and the gross body. Actually, he enjoys through the subtle body, which is composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. The gross body is the instrumental outer covering. When the gross body is lost, or when it dies, the root of the gross body, the mind, intelligence, and ego, continues and brings about another gross body. Although the gross bodies apparently change, the real root of the gross body, the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego, is always there. The subtle body's activities, be they pious or impious, create another situation for the living entity to enjoy or suffer in the next gross body. Thus, the subtle body continues, whereas the gross bodies change, one after another. Since modern scientists and philosophers are too materialistic, and since their knowledge is taken away by the illusory energy, they cannot explain how the gross body is changing. The materialistic philosopher Darwin has tried to study the changes of the gross body, but because he had no knowledge of either the subtle body or the soul, he could not clearly explain how the evolutionary process is going on. One may change the gross... You too hot? Just put it on one. But the evolutionary process is going on. One may change the gross body, but he works in the subtle body. People cannot understand the activities of the subtle body, and consequently they are bewildered as to how the actions of one gross body affect another gross body. The activities of the subtle body are also guided by the supersoul. As explained in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, Sarvasya chaham hridisam nivishto mattak smitir jnana bhapohanam cha. Quote, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Close quote. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Supersoul is always guiding the individual soul, the individual soul always knows how to act according to the reactions of his past karma. In other words, the Supersoul reminds him to act in such a way. Therefore, although there is apparently a change in the gross body, there is a continuation between the lives of an individual soul. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly opening my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. You know what this spelled backwards is? Naive. If you think that you're getting pure water when you buy Evian, you are naive.
Where's your water bottle at?
It's a long story. It's in the room. Okay. So in today's verse, Narada Muni, he's starting to answer a question King Barhishat asked in yesterday's verse. So let's read yesterday's. Let's see what the question was. So Barhishat, first he says, the expert knowers of the Vedic conclusions say that one enjoys or suffers the results of his past activities, but practically it is seen that the body that performed the work in the last birth is already lost. So how is it possible to enjoy or suffer the reactions of that work in a different body? Yeah. So, in other words, he's asking, what's carrying the karma? What's transferring the accumulation of activities from a previous body, from one body to the next. How can one enjoy or suffer reactions as work done by a body that no longer exists? Yeah, in other words, how is karma transferred from one body to another? So Narada Muni's answer, starting with today's verse, actually he's going to really get into this until I think text 79. It's like almost to the end of the chapter. Was it 85? Oops. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 84. Oh, more. Holy smoke. Oh, then there's notes too. Okay, so it's it's something we learn in the Gita, especially in the 15th chapter and the 2nd chapter, 15th chapter, how transmigration works. But it's actually a very deep subject, and it's so deep that it's completely mysterious, to Western philosophers and scientists, as Prabhupada said in the purport. So his answer, the great sage Narada, the living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is forced to act by the subtle body composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. After the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there. Lingena, right? Lingena manasa svayam. Yeah, the mind, intelligence, and ego is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change. And as Prabhupada points out in the purport, there's no change in the sense that there's continuity from one life to the next. So, in other words, the soul gives life to the gross body, but it's all wrapped up. It's inside a wrapper. We're all inside this wrapper of the subtle body, which carries the soul's karma to a new body, continuing how the soul acts out its desires. That's that famous New York Yankee catcher philosopher Yogi Berra. One of his sayings was, "It's deja vu all over again." He was famous for these for these witticisms that were unintended, actually. And actually, he said they were intended. He knew that he was, saying something dumb, but actually it had another meaning, or a deeper meaning. What was another one? If you come to a fork in the road, take it. So like, huh? Oh, I got it. That's deep. Okay, Yogi. So he said it's deja vu all over again. That's why, because I'm in this life now, in a male body, American, whatever. But I've been cultivating desires for many lives, and they keep building, they keep going, and I keep trying to satisfy them. So there's a continuity because, number one, the soul is eternal, that's me, but I'm under the spell of different modes of nature, and I keep trying under the spell of the modes of nature to enjoy in different ways, and then they compete for supremacy, and then they change, but still there's a continuity of a lost soul trying to act out or fulfill his material desires. So in the purport, Prabhupada contrasts Narada Muni's answer to modern scientists / philosophers who have, quote, no knowledge of either the subtle body, or the soul, and therefore cannot clearly explain how evolution works. Oh, you're not raising your hand. Okay, it's getting cool. And then he says, quote, one may change the gross body, but he works in the subtle body. That's where we really, we're our mind's churning. This is what I want to do, and then boom, we do it. But it happens in the mind, thinking, feeling, willing. always trying to reduce life to matter, atheistic scientists try to find the mind in the brain. This is whole mind-brain, thing. They try to find the mind in the brain, and even they try to find God in the brain. There's something, when people are too, scientists, you hear this, people say this, so-called academics and scientists, they say, there's something in the, if we could just find the God gene. You ever hear this? The God gene. There's something about human beings that they have this neurotic propensity to try to find God, something called God.
Vaccinate you for it.
Huh?
They can vaccinate you for it.
Yeah, right. So let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it.
It's already a prescription drug.
Of course, they're trying to find it in the brain, missing the subtle, and then they miss the subtle body of mind, intelligence, and ego, whose activities are guided by the subtlest of all, and Prabhupada returns to this, the super soul. You can't, God is not in a gene, or you can't reduce God to something, material phenomena. It's only because of the super soul that we actually are able to do anything. So to confirm that reality, Prabhupada cites Gita 15:15. We just chanted it. And then I'll just read a few verses of the purport, because he just chanted the relevant lines from the verse that pertain to the purport. And in the purport, Prabhupada says, first few lines, he says, the Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart. And it is from him that all activities are initiated. We can't do anything. We can't remember about what we wanted to do or how to do it without the help of the super soul. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him. And he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all-pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. And then Prabhupada goes on to discuss the last second 2 half lines of the verse about the Vedas. We can't do anything without Krishna's help. So we desire under the spell of the modes of nature, and then the subtle body, where the work really happens, and that provides continuity to the next life. It also, even in this life, we're bewildered. But Krishna, he's neutral as the super soul in the heart, and he's neutrally fulfilling desires as we deserve, right? We can't just, desire to be a millionaire, but then you got to do some tapas. You got to experience the misery that it takes to get rich. And in the course of getting rich, you're going to make enemies, because whatever you have in the material world, which runs on envy, everyone's going to try to want what you have. I think I shared with you in a previous class that Nambarish told me once, Suresvara, I don't want to, if I have to come back, I don't want to have a silver spoon in my mouth again. I don't want, because he has what everybody wants, right? The money. Because you don't know who's real. You don't have any friends. People are always approaching you. They want something. Or whatever opulence you have, whether it's beauty or fame, or people are always trying to get some of that. Because we're all trying to play God, play Krishna, and get some of those 6 opulences. Okay. So at the end of the day, all we really do is what? How do we do anything?
We suffer.
No, but what do we, even to do that, that's the consequences of what we do. We desire, we do by desiring. But we're completely dependent on Krishna's help, even to fulfill anything, you know. Looks like I'm going through this drama. Well, maybe this, I don't know. Anyway, this drama has been going on for months, and now it's come to a crisis, and I need a new toilet. This is proof of what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said: the whole world is an outhouse. So do your business and get out. So, toilet.
Oh.
So this morning, Krishna fulfilled my desire. I see this box. Did you see it outside my door, Sundami?
I did.
It's this big box, and it's like everybody's. You know, they know how to market even toilets. So it says Glacier Bay, power flush. And then I said, okay. And then I read under the power flush, and I walked around the side. It says, this toilet can flush billiard balls. I bet your toilet can't do that. This can. Oh my God.
It's good. I always need to get rid of my exes.
So if I insist on pursuing my material desires life after life, I can come back, have to live in a body which has to poop and pee, and then I'm going to have toilets which break down. Prabhus, I have to tell you, I'm afraid to flush the present toilet. It's in my room because I'm afraid it's going to be high tide all over my, with black water. All right, Krishna. Okay. Sorry to spoil your morning. I had to get it out of the way because we're going to have breakfast, and we don't want to discuss this at breakfast. Right? All right. All we do is desire. Every step, we're completely dependent on Krishna to fulfill those desires stored in our subtle body, life after life. He reminds us of what we wanted, and sooner or later, as we deserve, Prabhupada says this in the purport, the Lord fulfills the desire of the living entities to the extent that they deserve, not to the extent that they may covet. All right? We have to do the tapas to get anything, any little thing. Okay. He reminds us of what we wanted, and sooner or later, as we deserve, we get what we think we want. Actually, this never works. It's like that fish play, or the fish play, right? Yeah, the big fish, the little fish. The little fish is a living entity, and the big fish is Krishna, and then the little fish decides he wants to be the big fish, and then Maya, okay, and the big fish decides, okay, so he says, okay, little fish, you don't really want to be the big fish. Yeah, that's not who you are, No, I want to be so we insist, and okay, Maya, take him away. And then everything he tries to be happy in the material world. I'm just thinking of the play that we did in Gita Nagari of it. It's a great play. You have to see it. Everybody played themselves. I played a crazy professor telling a guy he had to have a PhD to be happy. And Gaurhari played, he was the little fish, actually. And his real life wife at the time, she played Maya. No, she played the wife who drove him crazy. And they were playing themselves. They were playing like Ralph and Alice Cramden, right? All right, but we don't get Krishna till we transfer all those desires to pleasing him. Now, in tomorrow's verse, Narada Muni is going to give a concrete example of how transmigration of the soul works, and it's really interesting. So Dhiro is going to do that one. But I'd like to, and it's pretty early, so I'd like to just open it up. And what's the question? The question is, when did you get what you thought you wanted, but still weren't satisfied? Anybody? I mean, is it too personal?
No.
I mean, that's the story of our lives, right? All right.
Me?
If you want.
Why me?
I mean, I thought you were.
That I have a story?
Did you have something that?
Okay, sure. I've told this story before, but I guess I'll tell it again.
Because you're still trying it, right? You're still trying to satisfy it.
I used to work at a gas station, and every day we had regular customers, and there was a paramedic who used to come in, and he was very handsome, and I thought,
Oh.
I really like him, and he was very nice. He was very friendly. He was handsome. He had a good job, and he liked me too. And then one day he finally asked me out, and I was very excited.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we went out for like a walk around there's like a little stream nearby. And he was like telling me these stories about how he was like mean to sick children.
How he what?
How he was mean to sick children in the ambulance when they would pick them up. He would like threaten to throw their stuffed animals out the window if they didn't behave. And
Why did he tell you that?
I don't know. I don't understand. Usually you're trying to put your best impression
foot forward. Yeah.
And then on top of that,
You thought that would turn you on, huh?
I guess.
I'm
I
a
don't know.
heavy abuser.
And then on top of that, he was just really boring also. I mean, and so I didn't want to, I was very disappointed. I thought I got what I wanted, but it was not true. And then my mother was very upset that I cut it off with him because she said, he's so handsome. He has a good job. I said, yes, but he's mean to children and he's boring.
Yeah, but you said your mom was like that too, so.
Yeah.
So she probably liked him.
No, she did. She did like him. Yeah. She didn't think it was a problem.
Abuser's key job. All right. I know you all have stories because that's the story of our life. If you want to share I have plenty of stories, but I think I told them all, or the major ones. All right, Kirtaneshwar is going to tell us.
There's so many instances of getting what you want and then finding out it's not what you want. I think it's true because if we got what we wanted, we wouldn't want anything else, really, right?
If we got what we really...
Yeah, if we got what we really wanted, we wouldn't want anything else. And we all have the story, it's like, oh, I want... Okay, I had a bad one, but I'm going to minimize it. I always when I was 18, I went to Flagstaff to go to college, and I drove into Sedona. And when I drove into Sedona from Flagstaff, I became convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that I wanted to live in Sedona. That this was the best place ever, and that I wanted to live there. And I had this kind of picturesque life in my mind of how I wanted to live in Sedona. I wanted to have, a girl. I wanted to have land. I wanted to have animals. I wanted to have property on the water. And so somehow or another, by Krishna's arrangement, I was offered this job in Sedona to live at this house and take care of animals with my girlfriend on a waterfront property on Oak Creek, and beautiful trees, take care of animals. But it was the most unhappy time of my life, without a doubt. I hated every minute of it. It was so miserable. But I did have literally everything I desired in that moment when I first moved into Sedona, but it was just so miserable because I found out that I don't really like taking care of animals.
Animals.
Yeah, like sheep and horses and cats. And my girlfriend was mean, and Sedona costs so much money. You can barely you can't buy any, all they have is a Whole Foods there, and it's the most expensive Whole Foods in the country probably. It's in Sedona. It was just
What was wrong with the waterfront?
Oh, mosquitoes, floods. Yeah, floods. We had a flood one year. It wiped out thousands of animals, including a bunch of Das Rats animals, but we managed to save our horses, which was actually pretty cool. But yeah, it was like everything I wanted, but it was not what I wanted. And that was actually after that whole Sedona experience, that's what made me finally get serious about Krishna, because I was always kind of, there kind of chanting a little bit, but then after that I got serious because I realized, okay, there's nothing in this world except Krishna.
That's the other side of Maya. Maya means mercy also. And so her mercy is, you by trying to follow her dictates, we get so miserable that we finally ask, why? There's got to be more than this. All right. I know that Chris is our engineer extraordinaire, but I know that he has definitely, because he's living in the material world, he's definitely tried to pursue something that it didn't work out.
Well, I always take life as work in progress. So failures are just
pillars of
moments
success.
along the path to success.
That's
So
Thomas Edison.
if you just keep trying, eventually you'll succeed. But the question you're asking is, does that make you happy? So what happens to me after I've succeeded with something is I get bored of it and then I have to go do something else. No matter how enthusiastic I was when I was working on it. As soon as it's a success, I'm bored. So maybe that's what successful people experience.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Anyone else? Chandrika has got a nice drama for us. She's going to dance. She's going to act it out and dance.
Actually, it was, obviously many years ago, somebody approached me about going to Spain because they were opening a Rudolf Steiner Waldorf school there. And they kind of saw my dance. So they said, you could teach dance there and yoga and all those things. And I thought, that's really nice, because I always wanted to live in a warmer place by the ocean, because England was always cold and dreary. I never really felt kind of at home because it was from London, so it's kind of city. So anyway, so this was going on, letting me know about like the building of it, and I was going to do it and actually partly run it, and it was all like that. And so I was kind of like interested and excited about it. But then I met Charahasa, and so so I felt a bit disappointed about going to Spain. And then I had to make a choice. Do I want this relationship, or do I want to go to Spain and do this? So anyway, so obviously in the end, so in a way I felt disappointed that Krishna didn't arrange that somehow. But of course I met Charahasa, and that was wonderful.
He introduced you to Krishna, yeah?
No, I was already Krishna conscious, but I met him, And so then we decided to move to LA, because he kind of needed to anyway, because visa things, and plus, he kind of got tired of the cold out there as well. I said, yeah, we'll go to LA. And I didn't know much about LA. But when I got here, I thought, this is just like Spain. It was like La Brea and, Los Angeles. I was like, this is kind of like Spain. And then I ended up teaching at Gurukula. So I was kind of at school anyway, and in a sort of Spanish-speaking country. So it kind of worked out. But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just the opposite. Actually, it worked. Krishna, he did it.
I mean, later on, I was like, okay, yeah, I see that. But, yeah.
Okay. All right, Nadia. What you thought it would make you happy and it didn't work out. But I know it's working out with you and the Kunja, so don't tell that one because she's listening online right now.
Well, I did think of that one because it does, feel like you're just, filling your house with, stuff.
Because if you're married, everything expands.
No, because he's like more, like you see a lot of everything happening, when you have a simple life before, But I just realized that if I just, think about Krishna and I try to, do as many Krishna activities, that it'll all work out. So, that was my realization when feeling like, maybe you're taking on too much, but that's like any situation in life, right? Where it's like, oh man, there's just, I'm a rapper, I'm a soul in a rapper, and there's just more and more rappers. I'm like one of those dolls, and life is just more and more of those dolls. It's like, well, if I just chant Hare Krishna and see if everybody else can chant Hare Krishna, then we'll survive,
Yeah, the rappers is what makes it complicated. One desire leads to the next, to the whole lot. The yogi with the copins and the cow and all.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about that even with just the earth, and it's like the earth is beautiful, but it's also, forgive me, Mother Bhumi, but it's also disgusting, there's just like insects and everything in the soil, and it's really disturbing. It makes me think about how Radharani didn't even want to come here, But it's like, if we think of Krishna with all this material encasing, then it'll be okay. We'll be able to keep our sanity and connect with them and feel the love, no matter how strange things get. But on a lighter side, I was thinking of either the dog I had or the circus set that I got when I was like 10 years old. It was like $100 purchase.
What happened to the dog?
Oh, well, the dog was, she's Ollie, and she's this chocolate-eyed love, that was at the auto shop next door when I went in to get my car, She came waddling in, just cute as ever. So I got her, rescued her, and, was with my ex-girlfriend, and that was all fun, going on hikes with Ollie and everything. But then I just realized how much work it is to have a dog. And so now she lives at my parents' house, and I get to go visit her, and God bless them, they pay the, thousands of dollars for medical expenses and everything. And so you think something so easy breezy and just, lovely, but everything
Has a price.
has a price.
You bet.
And so did that circus set that was my first, buyer's remorse. I had that $100 as a 10-year-old, and
What's a circus set? I've never seen that.
it's like, like a play set, like for kids, It's got the trapeze bar and the motorcycle guy and
Animals.
animals and a whole play set that was $100, and $100 for little kids, a lot of money.
Wow.
So it was my first big purchase. And then my mom and I still laugh to this day about how sad I was after I got the circus set because, the motorcycle didn't drive itself and the trapeze guy didn't swing by himself. So I was...
Well, that's wild because it sounds like it's like Krishna. Svabhavaki Jnana Balakriyacha. In other words, whatever Krishna wants, it just manifests. Svabhavaki Jnana Balak. He doesn't have to, whatever we want. So it sounded like you were disappointed that you couldn't enjoy just like Krishna because you always had to do something to make it work, right? Yeah, only when we want to please Krishna do we enter that realm where there's no work in the sense of karma, because we're just trying to please Krishna, and everything flows really nicely. Yes,
And then,
Kirtaneshwar
I was
Prabhu.
just gonna say before you say something, it's just more and more stuff, like I was saying, and that's like you were just saying, until we please Krishna. And I was thinking about that being around, Nakunja's kids and how she's so nice to them, and there's Krishna consciousness, but it's also just like, we're gonna get this, and then we're gonna get that, and it's just like wow, like we really do think that like plastic formed in different ways is going to make us happy, over and over again. It just really doesn't.
Let that be a lesson to your kid.
All right, yes.
Okay, my question. I have a question. Just so I happen to be on this one class. This question is, so many times we know, yes, these desires, they're dukkha yoniya evate, they're the womb of misery. But still, it's very hard to not pursue. And Krishna says that's lust only, Arjuna. Well, even if we purify them. So my question is like, Arjuna says, we hear that we have to act according to our nature. Like the Kshatriya is going to fight, the Sudra is going to work, the Brahmana is going to be a Brahmana. We have our nature, and we can't just stop. And so even though we know it's bad, we're still like forced by nature sometimes to act. Because we can't end our karma, we can't end our prarabdha karma immediately. So what's the solution? I mean, in that regard.
Yes. Yeah, we can't end our, like I'm still in a male body that feels lusty, angry, and greedy sometimes, and I still, have the momentum of my karma, my beetle karma, my baseball karma, whatever. But what we can do is engage that prarabdha karma in Krishna service. So the nature that we have can be engaged. We can't stop it, but we can redirect it. We can't stop the desires, but we can try to please Krishna. And it's a struggle but the more we do it, I'll give you an example. Just last night on WhatsApp. Yeah. Wow. This ties in nicely. I was talking with a devotee on the Sabha, on our group. Anyway, we're talking about, I wanted to take this mediation, ombudsman course. And she said, I want to take that too. How do you do it? Well, here's how you do it. And then she said, and she was on the Sabha when I was suspended from the Sabha for a year because of what happened, with me in Mirabai. So, but I didn't have to be suspended from the Sabha. It was at the discretion of the chair of the Sabha at the time, this lady from Russia. And even Naveen Sham, the guy overseeing my case, whom you know, Naveen Sham, Ishwar Puri's son, he said, no, I mean, what happened with you and Mirabai, it doesn't rise to the level of something that you can't still be, as long as you're not the chairman, because for a year you have to have no leadership roles. You can still participate. But this lady said, no, I think you have to step back for a year. So this lady last night on WhatsApp said, I didn't like that. She didn't even allow us to vote on it. All of us on the Sabha to vote. We let Suresvara continue on the Sabha for a year. I didn't like that. And so I said, well, at first I felt mistreated by this lady too. But then in hindsight, I began to see the whole restriction of not being able to have any kind of leadership role. I remember I couldn't lead a kirtan or give a class or anything. I began to see it as a blessing because it was very humbling and it was very purifying. And, what got me in trouble anyway was my unfulfilled, but I thought emotional needs. So, but Krishna, I told this person, I said, but Krishna and Prabhupada, they didn't give up on me. They were going to, by having me experience this year of restriction, they were making me go within and reflect on how I can fulfill all my desires for love and intimacy with them, with Prabhupada and Krishna. They were giving me, they didn't give up. They saw that I'd come this far, and then I just had a slip on the path. So I said that, and then I said, when I saw this lady, the chairman of the Sabha, the chairperson in Mayapur, I told her that. I said, her name was Sati. Sati, I resented what happened between you not letting me continue. But then I came to see it as a blessing. And she said, oh, that's so nice. and then the lady on the WhatsApp, I told this lady that I said, but I told Sati, and she was so happy. And so this lady said, well, that's a very Vaishnava way to take it. But I cannot do that because she humiliated me. Right in front of everybody on the Sabha. And I'll never forgive her. So I said, Prabhu, if we go to the grave with that mentality, I mean, look, okay, Sati has an edge. But don't we all? Of course we all have our edges, because how else could we have run away from the sweetest person? But Krishna, he doesn't hold a grudge. We hold grudges. He doesn't hold a grudge. How long have we been running away from him? And so I said, look, let's go to him. Let's go to him. It's getting late. Time is running out for us, because she's in her 70s and I'm in my 70s, late 70s, she's early. Let's go to him. Time is running out. And now, I'm sorry, because where she was in Australia, it was in the middle of the day, but I was trying to take rest. I must rest now. Hare Krishna. This morning I turned on my phone, and she, nothing to say, just, they accepted it. Thank you. This is what I need to let go of. Okay. On that note, we're going to take prasad, fulfill our desires for nice food by taking prasad. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So wait, she couldn't forgive.
She couldn't.